Hey, everybody. I pulled a muscle in my shoulder by yawning today. And you know what that means. It's time for another talking time lapse video with me, your good buddy, Josh Davenport. Uh, as always, these videos and all the comics over at RGBros.com are brought to you by the fine folks supporting the work over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Josh Davenport. And that is Brandon, Dan, Vivian, Matt, Mike, and Tobias. Thank you all so much for your continued support and for making all this possible. You all rock my socks. So today we are doing a talking time lapse of RG Bros comic One Dog Night. And this one is based on true events surrounding my dog Lucy. And I'm sure you've probably run across something similar if you have a dog as well, pet that just wants to go outside constantly. Look, I understand. Outside's great. It's wonderful. But can't be out there 24/7. Some can maybe, but not my dog. But I figured talk a little bit about pets this evening, along with the comic. Here's something I was trying in the first panel. It didn't quite work out. I was going to do like a swishing head looking back and forth. I didn't feel like I was pulling it off, so I just scrapped it. Going ahead here. And I'm going to go ahead and warn you, this video, as well as the one that I'm going to put out on Saturday, something happened with OBS, the software I use to record the screen, and the last video of each one messed up. So while you'll still get pretty much the entirety of the comic drawing and coloring and inking and all that, the laying in of the dialogue is not there in either of these because my computer crapped itself, basically, I guess, or that software did. OBS is 99% great, and then I guess just out of nowhere had a couple videos not finish up, which was weird. I think it might have something to do with like the amount of memory that's left on my computer hard drive, because it's running a little low, and so that might have had something to do with it. Could not be OBS's fault at all. I don't know. I haven't taken the time to really track that one down. But anyways, let's talk about having pets. I'm sure a lot of you out there have pets. I've had a few in my time. I think the first pet I ever had when I was a kid, we had a beagle named Uppy. And the only reason its name was Uppy is because I couldn't say Snoopy, so I would call it Uppy. And I don't remember much about that dog. It ran away when I was very small. I remember it liking to play in the sandbox that we had at our house, and that's about it. So that's the first pet. And then when we got a little older, I'm thinking it was when my older brother was in third grade, we got a dog that was a mutt from a friend of his parents. And we were trying to figure out what to name the dog, and it was a girl dog, and so at the time we were like, well, if it's a girl dog, we got to name it, from one of the princesses from a Nintendo game. So we were like, we're gonna name it Princess, Toadstool. We're gonna name it Princess Zelda, and we couldn't decide, so we just named it Princess. So that's how she ended up with a really lame name, but that was a great dog. She was awesome. She had a house. She did live in a dog house outside of our house. She was an outside dog. But I think my dad or somebody had, we had vinyl siding put on our house. And then my dad either got the people who put the vinyl siding on the house to do this, or he did it himself. I can't remember. But they put siding on the dog house. So it looked like a weird, smaller version of our house. It was really strange. But that dog was great, and she lived for a really long time. I didn't see her pass away or anything, but I mean, I gotta believe that she's probably not alive today. Not that I don't want to be optimistic, but I think last time I saw her, she was either 16 or 18. I mean, she was getting up there, and that was when we had moved to a house in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we had a fenced-in backyard. When we lived in Roane County, Princess could run around all over the neighborhood wherever she liked. I mean, it wasn't like heavy traffic or anything. And, she just liked to wander around. It was fine. She would always come back home. she was great. We moved to Knoxville. We had a fenced-in backyard. People were a lot more particular about letting dogs run around. Plus, there's a lot more traffic. We didn't want her to get hurt, so we put her in the backyard. And then she started like scratching the fence because she really just wanted to get out and roam around. And she was like bloodying her paws a little bit, and it really sucked. And nobody wanted her to be in pain, so she went to live with my grandpa. That still lived in Roane County, and he built her this like dog mobile home, I guess is probably the best way to put it. My granddad used to make all kinds of like additions to machines like out of wood and stuff like that, like adding wooden parts onto his lawnmower and things like that, and it always worked out really well. I mean, he was a genius at that kind of stuff, but it was pretty neat. But so he got her a house, and he put it on wheels so he could move it around the yard if he needed to, like, mow in different places or whatever. And then for some reason, I think the dog's house had a toilet seat on it. I could be wrong, but I seen it, maybe it was like attached to the tree behind the dog's house. But there was a toilet seat involved somewhere. I don't know. It was wacky. But yeah, she lived down there for a long, long time. And then after my grandfather passed away, unfortunately, I think she went to live, well, my mother said she went to live on a farm, which is entirely possible because there are a lot of people with farms down there. But it's also could be a euphemism for, she passed away. But I don't think she did, because I'm pretty sure my mom was never like squeamish about telling us about that kind of stuff. She probably would have just said Princess passed away or died. So I'm pretty sure she did go to live on a farm for the last part of her life. But during the time we had Princess, one of the houses we lived in Roane County, we had a pool. And I don't know if you've ever lived in a house with a pool, but if you have one with like a skimmer, all kinds of like animals sometimes end up in the skimmer. I hope they're, a lot better about keeping animals from getting sucked in there these days. I don't know. I don't own a pool. Yeah, but I think we discovered some little box turtles back there. Like some of them we got out of the skimmer of the pool. One of them we might have just found in the yard. But we had some turtles, and they lived in a aquarium in me and my brother's room. And I think I want to say we had 4 turtles, because that would complete the Ninja Turtle set or whatever. But I'm pretty sure we only had 3 turtles, and so we named them like Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Raphael. I think if we had 4, we named them all. But I think if we left one off, it was probably Donatello. Not that nobody liked Donatello; everybody thought all the turtles were cool, but he just didn't make the cut. If that was the case, I could be completely remembering it wrong. Could be remembering it wrong. Could have had 4 turtles. I don't know. But, we had them in this aquarium, and we would always feed them like these little blocks of bloodworms, whatever the heck it is turtles eat. And when we were kids, like, I don't know, my cousin would come over, and him and my older brother, I think they were like selling us a line of BS or something. And I know they were, because you can't talk to turtles. But they were always like, yeah, man, if you just make these clicking noises with your mouth, the turtle can understand what you're saying. And it'll like do what you want. It'll walk, wherever you tell it to go. And so we're sitting around being like, making like weird chipmunky sounds. It's like, even if a turtle did talk, these are not the sounds that a turtle would make. But as a stupid kid, I'm just like, oh yeah, oh man, I can see it turning the way I'm telling it to turn. This is fantastic. I'm like Dr. Dolittle. But yeah, later on, and this is a lesson for any kids who are out there listening, we weren't athletic children. But one day my dad came home with like a football just out of nowhere. And then for some reason, I want to say me and one of my brothers like threw the football down the hall to one of our other brothers and missed catching it, and it hit the tank, and the turtles died. It was really terrible. But yeah, that's the last time we had turtles. Then going on into high school, when we lived in this house in Knoxville where Princess couldn't stay, we had a cat named Stinky. There was an indoor cat, and then we had a cat named, I think, Jenkins, that lived outside they were both like black and white cats. The outside cat looked like it was wearing some weird tuxedo, so we like made up this weird story about how it was like a cat butler. I think Jenkins ended up having some kids, but Stinky lived a good long life. Jenkins just went in and out and then was gone one day. Like, it was more like a situation where we just fed this feral cat, and then we had a cat. And Stinky was declawed, so she just lived in the house. And the first day we got her, she like disappeared. She was scared because she came from like the Humane Society. We brought her home, and she like ran down the basement and somehow climbed up and like got inside the wall somewhere. And that was a whole thing. We ended up getting her out of there. Yeah, she was a good cat. She lived a good long time. If you'll notice something, you're not going to see it in the last panel of this because I draw this jacket hanging up on the wall here on these pegs. And I tried to make sure it was the same jacket that Baxter was wearing in another comic, trying for some continuity here somewhere. But then I realized later that I forgot to draw it in the last panel, and so I moved it over, but you're not going to see it in the video because this video doesn't have the ending panel on it, so you won't see it on there. But anyway, we had those cats. Stinky continued to live with my parents long after I moved out, and she passed, I guess it's probably been more than 10 years ago now, but yeah, she's got really, really old. Those are all the pets that I had, with my immediate family. I didn't have another pet until I moved in with my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. She had a little mutt dog named Genevieve, named after the dog from Madeline. And Genevieve was a great dog. She just passed, I think it was 2015. She passed away, so it's just been recently. But she was like 16 going on 17, and just, didn't make it. But she was a good dog. She would bark at everything, man. Like, anytime you hear even like a slight noise that sound like a knock at the door, she'd be barking all over the place. She was a super sweet dog, but she was always barking. And I actually wrote a comic about when she passed away, because it was like right around the time that Christopher Lee passed, and I did one of those. I think that's back in 2015. You can go back and check that out if you're so inclined. I thought at the time when I did that I would probably end up doing more comics, like if other people I admired passed away, but like, Harold Ramis and a long list of other people passed since that comic, and I always felt like making something, but it just never was in the cards for me to get one out in a reasonable time period. So that didn't happen. But now we have a little Yorkie named Lucy that was actually belonged to my parents. They had 2 Yorkies, and then like a dog just wandered into their yard out of the woods, and they ended up taking him in. And then they had 3 dogs, and 3 dogs were just too many for them to handle. And so they sent Lucy to live with us, and now she's our dog. Is my daughter, fell in love with her. And so they were like, well, Olivia loves her. She can come stay with you guys. And I was like, oh, that's great. Awesome. We'll do that. So Lucy lives with us now, and she's a kind of a pain in the butt, honestly. She's a little puppy. I think she's just now like 2 years old. But we got her to where she knows to go and scratch the back door when she needs to be let out. We don't have a dog door, but she scratches back there to be let out. And some days, like, it just works fine. She scratches when she needs to go to the bathroom. You go and let her out in the backyard, whatever. Other days, it's like she smells something outside that she just can't get away from, or she finds something in the yard. And then it's like every 2 seconds she's at the back door scratching and scratching and scratching. And I can't just leave her out there because there's a spot in our fence in the back, because the fence is a piece of crap that's big enough for her to just run out of. And she's not the type of dog who would be good to wander around out in the neighborhood. So gotta keep an eye on that pup when she's outside. But she likes to scratch the hell out of that door. But, we're in the last 10 seconds here. Thanks for sticking in and listening to me drone about these dogs. I'll catch you on Saturday. Later.